World Cup 2030 allegations of mass dog killings in Morocco sparked global outrage. Shocking allegations surrounding the treatment of stray dogs in Morocco have ignited international controversy, with animal welfare organizations claiming that millions of animals are being killed in connection with preparations for the 2030 FIFA World Cup. Now we take a deeper look and break down this entire story on the AI
I
podcast.
want you to just picture the scene. It's 2030. You're in a stadium, the lights are blazing, and the crowd is absolutely roaring. We are talking about the biggest stage on Earth, the FIFA World Cup. And this one is historic. It's crossing continents. You've got Spain, Portugal, and Morocco.
Yeah, it's a huge moment, a celebration of unity, culture, the beautiful game.
It's supposed to be.
For Morocco especially, this is their moment to shine. A chance to show modernity, hospitality to billions of people watching.
It sounds perfect, right? A global party. But today, on this deep dive, we are not talking about the matches. We are not talking about, penalty shootouts. We're looking at a very, very dark shadow that is hanging over these preparations.
Right.
Because while fans are getting ready to buy tickets, there's this fierce controversy brewing on the ground in Morocco. And it's not about the players. It's about stray dogs.
And this is where the story just shifts from sports into something much more complex. We're looking at a whole stack of sources today that, well, they paint a very contrasting picture.
What have we got?
We have reports from the International Animal Welfare and Protection Coalition. We've got official statements from FIFA, press releases from the Moroccan government, some really deep investigative coverage from The Athletic, and even documents from the United Nations.
Okay, so just to set the mission for today, we are trying to unpack these allegations of a mass cull. Essentially, the accusation is that authorities are killing stray dogs on an industrial scale to, clean up the streets before the world arrives.
But we also have these very strong government denials. So we need to figure out what is actually going on.
And why the United Nations has suddenly entered the chat with this really unexpected angle involving children's rights.
It's a heavy topic, but it's an important one. It forces us to ask, what is the hidden cost of a perfect public image?
Okay, let's get into the weeds here. First off, we need to understand the scale. When we talk about stray dogs in Morocco, I think a lot of listeners might picture, a couple of pucks running around.
Yeah.
But that's not what we're dealing with, is it?
Not at all. The estimates suggest there are approximately 3 million stray dogs in Morocco.
3 million.
3 million. To put that in perspective, that's roughly the population of Chicago, but all dogs. It's a massive population to manage under any circumstance. But the context here is the timeline. Morocco was confirmed as a co-host in 2023.
Right, and that date, 2023, that's the turning point, according to activists. The International Animal Welfare and Protection Coalition is claiming the killings just escalated dramatically after that announcement.
And the theory is pretty straightforward. Authorities want to present a cleaner, safer image for all the international visitors, the media.
We've seen this before with mega events, haven't we?
Oh, absolutely. The Olympics, previous World Cups, there's always this intense pressure to sort of sanitize the environment, make the streets look pristine for the cameras. But the specific allegations about how this is being done in Morocco, they're particularly harrowing.
Yeah, and I do want to give a heads up to our listeners. Some of the details here are pretty rough. We're not just talking about rounding them up. The reports we're looking at describe these specific kill centers. There's one report focusing on Marrakech, which is a major tourist hub, a likely host city. And witnesses are describing these warehouse-style facilities with washable flooring and meat hooks.
And that detail, the flooring and hooks, that's significant. It paints a picture of an industrial operation, not a veterinary one.
Right. A clinic has operating tables, recovery cages.
Exactly. Washable flooring and meat hooks. That implies a slaughterhouse.
The reports allege dogs are being captured with these neck clamps, loaded into white vans, and then just taken to these places.
And the disposal methods mentioned in these sources are, honestly, they sound like something out of a horror movie. We're seeing allegations of dogs being starved for days, reports of them being burned alive at rubbish depots.
And the use of strychnine poisoning. Strychnine. We need to pause on that for a second, because it's important to understand why that specific poison is so awful.
It is. Strychnine isn't like a gentle euthanasia drug. It attacks the central nervous system. It causes these violent, uncontrollable convulsions, and eventually the animal suffocates because its muscles can't work. It is an incredibly painful, terrifying way to die.
So not a humane euthanasia by any stretch of the imagination.
Far from it. Most modern veterinary standards have banned it completely. And the allegations here are that it's either injected or, hidden in bait food left on the streets, and then disposal in mass graves.
Okay, so those are the reports. And usually in these kinds of stories, it's just a he said, she said situation. Activists say one thing, the government says another.
Right.
But The Athletic, and this is a huge sports publication, they got their hands on some documents that seem to be a bit of a smoking gun. They found a paper trail.
This is a crucial piece of evidence. It moves us from eyewitness testimony, which, can be disputed, to actual procurement records.
What did they find?
According to their report, documents show that local authorities ordered 1,000 rounds of ammunition in September 2025.
1,000 rounds of ammo.
Specifically to deal with stray dogs.
See, that's the detail that just stopped me in my tracks. 1,000 rounds of ammo. Now, I know someone might say, well, there are 3 million dogs, 1,000 bullets isn't that many, but that's not the point, is it?
No, the quantity is less important than the intent. You don't order high-caliber ammunition for a catch-and-release program.
Right. You don't order bullets for a vaccination drive.
Exactly. That specific procurement implies shooting is being used as a method of population control, and you have to remember that receipt is likely just one snapshot from one municipality. If you extrapolate that, you're looking at a militarized solution.
It makes the whole idea of a systematic call feel much more tangible. You can argue about what a witness saw, but you can't argue with a receipt for bullets.
Correct. It suggests that at the local level, the tool being reached for isn't a syringe of vaccine, it's a firearm.
But we have to look at the other side. The Moroccan government isn't just staying silent on this. They have a completely different story.
They do. The Moroccan embassy in London issued a very strong rejection. Their quote was pretty categorical. It is entirely untrue that Morocco is planning to cull stray dogs ahead of the 2030 FIFA World Cup.
So, if they aren't culling them, what do they claim they're doing? Because, again, 3 million dogs don't just disappear.
Their official policy, the one written on paper, is something called TNVR.
TNVR.
Trap, neuter, vaccinate, and release. The government says this program was actually launched way back in 2019.
So years before the World Cup announcement, they can claim this was the plan all along.
That's their argument. They say they're investing in vet services, clinics, municipal hygiene systems, all focused on humane and sustainable management. The idea with TNVR is you sterilize the dog so the population naturally shrinks over time.
And theoretically, that's the gold standard, right? That's what animal welfare groups usually want.
It is.
So why is there such a massive disconnect between we are doing TNVR and here's a receipt for 1,000 bullets?
And this is where biology clashes with bureaucracy. TNVR works, but it's incredibly slow. To actually reduce a population of 3 million dogs through sterilization, you need to sterilize something like 70% of the females to even see a decline.
And doing that for 3 million dogs? That's a massive logistical operation.
It's enormous. Manpower, money, time. We're talking a timeline of maybe 10, 15 years to see the streets really clear up. But the World Cup isn't in 15 years?
It's in 4. Ah, I see. So the math just doesn't work.
The math doesn't work for the deadline.
Huh.
And there's another principle here called the vacuum effect. If you just remove dogs, whether you kill them or move them, new dogs just move in from the countryside to take their place because the the garbage is still there.
So you end up in this endless cycle of killing.
Exactly. TNVR stops that because the sterilized dogs hold the territory. But again, it takes too long for a politician who needs a clean photo op now.
So is it possible there's a gap between the national policy, the official we do TNVR line, and what local officials on the ground are actually doing?
That seems like the most likely scenario. You have a government ministry in Rabat writing a beautiful policy, but then you have a local mayor in a host city who's thinking, the world press is coming in 3 years and there are still dogs everywhere. This isn't working fast enough.
And that pressure leads to shortcuts.
It creates a huge conflict between the official narrative and the immediate messy reality of preparing for a mega event.
And stuck right in the middle of all this is FIFA. I mean, they're the ones who gave Morocco the hosting rights. They hold the keys. What are they saying?
FIFA is in a very, very tricky spot. Their official stance is that during the bidding process, Morocco emphasized its commitment to animal welfare. They promised expanded vet clinics, support programs.
So FIFA's basically saying, hey, we trusted them. But are they checking? Are they actually doing anything?
They state they are following up to ensure those commitments are upheld, and they've confirmed they are working with the International Animal Welfare and Protection Coalition, the same group making the allegations.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, that coalition actually submitted a 91-page dossier to FIFA.
91 pages. That's not a pamphlet.
No. And it's not just text. It allegedly includes photographic evidence of poisonings, of starvation, of shootings. It's a comprehensive catalog of all the allegations.
Wow. That feels like more than just something you follow up on. If I'm FIFA and I get a 91-page report with photos, following up feels a bit weak. It feels like evidence of a breach of trust.
And that is the critical lens critics are applying. They argue that by just following up, FIFA risks enabling the killings. If the organizing body doesn't draw a hard red line, the pressure on the ground to clean up remains higher than the pressure to be humane.
It's a game of don't ask, don't tell.
Pretty much.
And the world is noticing. It's not just activists anymore. PETA's involved.
PETA has been very vocal. Their spokesperson, Katie Cryer, basically said Morocco isn't even really hiding this. They're demanding the withdrawal of hosting rights unless it stops.
And we've got Hollywood involved, too. Mark Ruffalo, the Hulk himself, called it a moral failure.
When you have figures like Mark Ruffalo speaking out, it just amplifies the message to an audience that might not normally follow this kind of news. It turns it into a mainstream PR crisis.
Yeah.
Tens of thousands of appeals have been sent to FIFA. There have been protests at their events. It is becoming a headache that is not going away.
But just when you think you understand the sides here, activists versus government with FIFA in the middle, there's this other angle that completely surprised me. The United Nations.
This is the part that really shifts the paradigm. Usually when we talk about stray dogs, we don't bring up the UN.
Right. I don't recall the stray dog clause in the UN Charter.
It's not about the dogs directly. It's about the children. The UN Committee on the Rights of the Child, the UNCRC, issued something called General Comment 26 in September 2023.
Okay, let's break that down. General Comment 26, what does that actually mean? Is it a law? A suggestion?
Think of it as a definitive interpretation of international law. Specifically, it supports Article 19 of the Convention on the Rights of the Child.
And Article 19 is about?
Protecting children from violence. And here's the connection. The UN is now explicitly emphasizing that children must be protected from exposure to violence, including violence inflicted on animals.
Whoa, wait, so they're saying that if a kid walks down the street and sees a dog getting shot or poisoned, that is a violation of that child's human rights.
Exactly. And this isn't just a philosophical point, it's a psychological one. Campaigners and the UN are arguing that because these killings are often happening right there on the streets where children live and play, the children are witnessing brutal violence.
The trauma aspect.
It is. It's about desensitization. If a child grows up seeing that the solution to a problem is to beat it or shoot it, that impacts their development. It normalizes violence. The UN is saying the state has a duty to protect children from that psychological harm.
That reframes the entire argument. It's not just be nice to puppies anymore. It's stop traumatizing a generation of kids.
It creates a human rights issue out of an animal rights issue. It adds this whole layer of legal and ethical complexity. If Morocco is a signatory to these conventions, which they are, then allowing public slaughter of animals isn't just bad PR. It's potentially a violation of their commitments to child welfare.
That is it's a heavy realization. You think about the beautiful game, the marketing, the joy, and then you contrast that with the kids standing on a street corner watching this happen. It sort of destroys the magic, doesn't it?
It forces us to confront the infrastructure of these events.
Yeah.
We see the polished stadiums and the opening ceremonies. We rarely see what was swept away or wiped out to make room for that polish.
So where do we stand now? The World Cup is still a few years away. What's the situation on the ground?
We are in a standoff. On one side, you have Morocco, a nation incredibly proud to be hosting, sticking to an official policy of humane treatment, at least on paper.
And on the other?
On the other, you have activists armed with dossiers, with ammo receipts, with photos, alleging a brutal cleanup campaign. And FIFA is sort of standing there, holding the dossier, just saying, we're looking into it.
And time is ticking.
That's the most dangerous factor. As 2030 gets closer, the desperation to have everything perfect increases. Unless there's a significant change, a massive external pressure that changes the calculation for authorities, the fear is the cleanup will only intensify. The closer we get to kickoff, the less patience there will be for the slow pace of TNVR.
This deep dive has been a heavy one. but I think it's necessary. It challenges us, to look behind the curtain of the entertainment we consume. We love the World Cup, but we have to ask what the cost of that perfect pitch or that clean street actually is.
It raises the question of complicity. If we demand perfection from host nations without asking how they achieve it, are we partially responsible? If we demand a sanitized backdrop for our football, we have to accept that sanitization is often a very dirty business.
That's the big question I want to leave you with today. If a global event like the World Cup can drive a country to allegedly violate its own humane policies for the sake of an image, does the responsibility lie with the host country? Or does it lie with the international organizations and us, the fans, who demand perfection at any cost?
And if the UN is right,
And if this is violence against children, could the fallout of these preparations last a generation longer than the football tournament itself?
it's a chilling thought. The game is 90 minutes, but the trauma could be lifelong.
We'll leave it there for today. Thanks for listening to this deep dive. Stay curious, stay critical, and we'll catch you on the next.
Okay, one question for you. If the allegations of mass dog killings are true, should FIFA suspend or condition Morocco's 2030 World Cup hosting rights until independent investigations verify animal welfare standard? Don't forget to comment it. Thanks.